Good evening and welcome to the Arab American Variety Talk Show. I'm Suad Asfour, your host. I have very special guests this evening. I have Reda Guermas and I have Chakib Khemici. Let me tell you a little bit about each one of them. Reda was born in Algeria in 1968. Reda received his engineering degree in Algeria 1991 and his master's degree in information technology engineering in France in 1992. He started a PhD in computer and added education in France, but had to immigrate to United States in 1994. Reda is a marathon runner and loves sports. He is an active member of DZ United. Welcome to the show, Reda.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. And Chakib Khemici also was born in Algeria. Chakib received his bachelor's degree in Algeria in 1988. He attended UCSC, where he took computer science classes. Chakib served as the president of the Algerian American Association of Northern California from 2012 through 2013. Chakib was a computer science teacher at Mission College in Santa Clara from 1999 to 2002. Chakib has a black belt in Kempo and degree in the art from the Algeria School of Art. Chakib, very good to have you with us tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
So I guess I will start my first question by talking to Reda here. Reda, I mentioned that you are with the DZ United, and I've heard some stuff about it. All I know is they have positive energy and they're working with a smile, and they started not very long ago. It's probably 1990, this year, 2019, few months ago. Can you tell us more in detail about DZ United?
First of all, thank you for having us today.
You're very welcome.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. So DZ United was founded in February 22nd of 2019, this year, it's true.
Yes.
It's a group of volunteers from California and that have a goal. Their goal is to support Algeria in a positive way.
The whole country of Algeria.
The whole country in different aspects.
Okay.
So we don't pretend to do it all. We want to be a channel for political change,
yes,
economic change, social change, anything that can bring Algeria to as a modern society, right? And we currently would like to see a real democracy in Algeria, where the citizens have at least freedom of speech and also under a rule of law.
That's only fair.
Yeah. So that's what DZ United is.
That's great. Congratulations on starting this organization.
Thank you.
It looks like you're going the right direction.
I hope so.
It is something to be very proud of. So now let's talk to Chakib. Since we are starting talking about Algeria, and Algeria is one of the biggest country in Africa, I believe. And I know it has a very beautiful location, and it's in the Mediterranean area. It has very desirable and lovely people living there. Can you tell us more about its geographic and its economic?
Thank you for having us again.
You're welcome.
So Algeria is located in North Africa. And it's the biggest country in Africa, just like you stated. It's between Tunisia and Morocco.
Yeah, well, some people, they don't know that. So it's good to have
Yes.
this information.
A lot of people don't know. And then, by the way, we just get promoted to be the biggest country after Sudan was split to the south and the north.
Hey, that's
So,
excellent, right?
Yes. And the population of Algeria is about 43 million.
Wow.
45% of the population, they're under the age of 25.
That's interesting.
Yes.
That's actually very interesting. How
yes.
did that happen by any chance?
Well, the way I think it happened is that after the war, after the independence,
Right.
people started getting, more kids. And that's how we end up with a lot of more youth.
Okay.
And then the economical situation changed from the time of the war when we were colonized by the French till after the independence when we were having more resources. People were living in liberty and freedom. In addition to that, Algeria is fertile. It's also about 4.5 times the size of France.
Yes.
Just to have an idea how big it is.
Yeah.
We have borders with about 7 countries. We have Morocco, Occidental Sahara, Mali, Niger, Mauritania, and we have also Libya as well as Tunisia. And then we have the Mediterranean Sea on the north.
Yes.
We have about 1,000 miles, a little more than 1,000 miles of coastal land.
Okay.
So we're hoping that in the future we'll be the #1 destination
I
for
wouldn't doubt
tourism.
that. Yeah, that's
Yes.
going to be very interesting.
Yes. And in Algeria, there are a lot of civilization that went through North Africa, specifically Algeria. And then the last colonization happened by the French. The French stayed there for about 132 years.
Okay.
And you see a lot of, if you look at the buildings in Algeria, they look a lot like France, especially in the big cities. Algiers, Oran, Constantine, and similar big cities like Annaba. And then a lot of those big cities used to have a French name as well. Like Annaba used to be called Bonneville or something like that. But now, since 1962, and specifically on July the 5th, we gained our independence from the French.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
excellent. That's beautiful. Good to hear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's give chance to Reda now again because we have good introduction about Algeria, but we need to know what is going on right now in Algeria.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't hear what's going on in Algeria because if you're not connected to the country, you're not in social media, there's a little bit of a blackout on what's going on there.
Yeah, and the international media doesn't help too much.
International media is not reporting what's going on there. So
Right.
that's it's a great opportunity for us today to
It's our pleasure to have you here.
to explain to our fellow citizens of the world what's
Yes.
going on in Algeria. And so in February 22nd, 2019, the people started to protest in Algeria by millions. So we're talking droves of people in big cities and actually across the country and even outside of the country. Proof is here in California, we have our own protest.
Yes.
I'm going to talk a little bit what the protests are about. So the protests are called Hirak. It's an Arabic name for movement. And there's a reason why, if you want to know why is it called Hirak instead of revolution or some
Yeah.
other names like that. So that's the brand. It's also called the Smile Revolution.
Yeah, the Smiley Revolution.
Yeah,
is
I
very
know.
nice
It's
name.
interesting.
I see all of you smiling, but is that why you picked that name?
And it is the same way in Algeria. My brother was there a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, people are really hopeful
Yeah.
this time.
Great.
I'm going to tell you why. So the reason is these protests are nonviolent, and that's the first thing that the protesters and the people in the country, they wanted to convey. We don't want violence.
Even though he mentioned there like 45% of the population are 25 years and younger.
Yes,
That's really, really good to know.
going back to the youth are a big driver of the Hirak.
Okay.
And they find really interesting ways to interact with the media, to convey the message to the government, and it's really interesting what's going on there. And an example is even my grandmother knows about Hirak. She talks about it with her kids, and she is excited about it. Kids are in the Hirak, and things of that nature. So that's what's going on in Algeria currently. So there are protests. We are in our 23rd week. So it's been happening since February 22nd regularly. Every week there are protests. The major theme of the protest is that we need to take back this country. We want a structural change. We want a real change in Algeria. We don't want just a cosmetic change where we switch a leader or president by another president in the same structure. We're going to end up in the same situations. We want to be a modern society. We want to contribute to the human civilization. We want to be part of it. We don't want to be left.
Especially that you said the elderly people are going to the streets, and the young and the youth and all ages.
Yeah,
that
all ages. Men, women, a lot of women in the streets. Men, women, children.
See, that's what it takes.
Elderly. Yeah, that's what it takes. My brother said, my brother came and he said, this revolution is special. There are a lot of women in the street.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have to have the women in the street.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody helps. So back to Chakib, why are people protesting like that? I mean, you see the energy. You see, they're not going to give up. I'm very sure, and they have goal to achieve. So can you tell us more about their goals and what they are trying to accomplish?
So they cannot give up.
They're not supposed to.
We cannot give up.
Right.
If we give up now, we're going to be oppressed.
You lose everything they
we'll
worked for.
We'll lose everything.
Yeah.
All the hard work. And then the hard work is with good intentions.
Yes.
Good intention to see our country being a leader. And all this started with small protests here and there because people did not either have the means or the resources were not utilized as they should. There was a bunch of what they called al-isaba. And isaba is, all can name it in English translation, will be in a sense a group of gang holding the power.
Is that within the government?
This is within the government. Within the government. Oh. Within the government. So what happened, the President Bouteflika was president for 20 years.
Yes.
He changed the constitutions to, the constitution allowed only 2 terms for a president.
Yes.
He amended the constitution so he can be a president for life. But what sparked all this, or what broke the straw that broke the camel back, is mainly when he presented himself for the 5th term to be the president again. So people there said enough is enough.
Right.
First, because he was disabled. He had a stroke, and he was not able to govern the country. He did not speak to the Algerians for about 5 years. So there were a group of people running the country, but they were not doing the right things.
Yes.
And that's why they call them the Isaba, because they were not looking after what is good for the country. They were looking what is good for their pocket.
Themselves.
Yes. So people said it's enough. We want a country that is ruled by the law. We want to build our country. We don't want to destroy our country. So if you have a group of people thinking about themselves and taking the resources to themselves and their families, the country will be going to the wrong direction.
Yes.
We want to change that. We want to change the directions, and this is the purpose of the Hirak. We want the country to be headed on the right direction. The directions that will be good for the future of the country, good for the Algerians, and even we might be able to help even Africa and the world if we can.
Right.
And then, by the way, Algeria used to be called California of Africa.
Oh.
Yes. During the French colonization, we used to feed the French with our vegetables and dates and fruit and stuff.
Yeah. It's
So we want to go back to that,
Yes.
and we want to feed, hopefully, Africa.
I'm sure you will. By working that hard, accomplishment is not impossible.
Yes.
So let's give the chance to Reda now to tell us how are the protests conducted, exactly
Very good
what they
point.
do and how they are particular.
Thank you for these questions. This is a really important point about the protests. So these protests in Algeria have some particularities, some specifics. One of the main characteristic that I talked about earlier is the peaceful nature and non-violent. So this is a theme that, as you can imagine, people are tempted by violence all the time, right? Why? Because we want to go fast. We just want to solve the problem. But I'm amazed how, even myself, I'm like, yeah, maybe it takes violence after 5, 6 weeks, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But the more I hear them talk, what I get from Algeria and the way they speak about it, it's a consistent theme is that we have to stay silmiya.
And they kept their peace.
Yeah, silmiya means peaceful in Arabic, and everybody, that's their common ground. We don't want violence. For multiple reasons. The citizens are not experts in violence. The government, the police are experts in violence, so
Right.
we have no chance to succeed in that. We tried many times in the past, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Different ways, either organized, non-organized, you're never going to make it. We can debate that, but let me go
Yeah,
to
we
the
need
second
more time
point.
for that.
Yeah, we need more time, non-violence, and why we do it that way. So, for example, during the protests, something really interesting. After the protest, you can imagine it's all dirty and people leave water and all that outside. But what we have a task force, though the Hirak has a task force. After the protest, there is a time where everybody goes home. Then there's a task force that goes and cleans the streets.
Yeah, so Chakib, he's telling us everything they're doing is the right thing to do. Can you tell us how much they have accomplished so far with the time? We don't have that much time, so we like to get more answers. How much have they accomplished after all these several months now, protesting every week?
Okay, after 3 weeks, we accomplished the first step, which was the resignation of the prime minister.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Yes, after 3
So
weeks,
they really
he
removed
resigned.
him completely.
Exactly, and we call him Oyaya.
Okay.
Oyaya.
Yeah.
That's his nickname, Oyaya. He's the guy who did not want people to eat yogurt. He was blamed, yes. So I want to mention that. But in any case, now, guess what he is? He's in jail now
Okay.
because he's a corrupt.
If he deserves it, he should be there.
Yes, yes. And I hope he stays there for a long time till the rule of law will come to place and they will judge him as it should. We don't want to, we are not judges, but we want the court to do the job. And after that, after 6 weeks of protest, the President Abdelaziz Bouteflika was forced to resign, which was a second accomplishment.
Okay.
And in addition to that, there was an ex-prime minister, and he was also the running the campaign for Abdelaziz Bouteflika for his 5th campaign.
Yes.
He ended up in jail as well.
So
There are-
it is Isaba,
Yes,
big Isaba.
it is a big Isaba. It's a big gang, and a lot of them they're in jail now, and hopefully we're not going to miss anyone. In addition to that, there are a lot of businessmen that were getting business deals under the table
Wow.
from elected officials and they are in jail as well. There are a lot of businessmen, they're in jail. And then now there's investigation thanks to the court. They're doing their investigation, and they're finding out who helped them. And then those as well, one by one, they're following, and then they're in jail as well.
Wow. So we mentioned all the good stuff you guys been doing. I mean, the protesters and all the cleaning up. They're cleaning up the country, which that's what should be done, the right thing to do. Can you tell us, Reda, if this is considered, the Hirak is considered a revolution?
That's a good question. A lot of people want to use the word revolution instead of Hirak, and some other people want to use other terms.
Yes.
It does not really matter as long as we get what we want. For me, I prefer personally to use the word Hirak, because Hirak means it's a movement, it's coming from the bottom up. So, and that's, I think, what we need. We need a conscious from the people, citizens going up. Revolution for me is back to the top-down approach, where it's an elite, is the revolutionaries that give the direction, and then we're gonna, I think, or maybe not, end up with the same problem with a revolutionary elite. They did the revolution, they're gonna ask for their right, they're gonna think that other people didn't do it, and they're gonna stay in power for
So
as long as they
you
can.
agree that whatever please people, what you guys are doing is what appease people, right?
We consider ourselves just like a support model to our brothers and sisters back home.
Yes.
We're, in a sense, we're well off here. We don't have to deal with, in a sense, corruptions or having to worry about taking a bus or whatever the case might be, okay? But we have a duty toward our country, our mother country, Algeria. We have a duty to help support our brothers and sisters for many reasons. First, most of us here, most Algerians, they have a father, a sister, an uncle who've been tortured, who've been jailed during the occupation, during the colonization of the French. Myself, my brother, my dad was tortured. He was put in jail 4 times.
Yes.
I have an uncle who passed away. And then I'm sure Reda and any other Algerians, they have family member who suffered, who paid a heavy price to see Algeria independent.
Yes.
So we did get our independence in 1962 from the French, but we did not get a full independence. So what the Hirak is asking today, we want a full independence. That's exactly what we're asking for.
Yeah, so you feel it that there's still some more work to be done.
There is work that needs to be done, and then now we are in the stage where those who are holding power at the moment, they're asking to come to the table and discuss how we can come out from this crisis.
Yes.
There are a lot of initiatives, different groups, but the main one that's been discussed, that's on the news, there were a group of 13, they were selected, and there's only 6 that are left. They called another 23 to join, but it's still the consensus is not working right for the main reason. They need to follow what the street is asking. The street is asking few base requests. The first one is to liberate all those who are in jail for either their opinion or for their political views, as long as they did not touch the unity of the country. If they're in jail because they raised the flag or because they said we want a civilian government rather than a military government, those should be freed before we come to the table. In addition to that, in addition to freeing all the prisoners, we want also to, they're stuck in now, they're putting checkpoints for people to go to Algiers to protest. We don't want those checkpoints. We are all Algerian, whether you're coming from Algiers or you're from Algiers, you're from Annaba, Bouira, Tizi Ouzou, Mouzaya, just name it. You or Cherchel, you need to be able to access the capital. It's your capital, you're an Algerian, so there should not be any restrictions. Also, we want the media, these are the main points. The media need to be free to document and to report what's happening on the ground.
Right.
When those main requests are in place, I believe that the dialogue will start and will head on the right direction.
I think so too. How do you feel about how do you see the new Algeria?
Actually,
Reda?
I want to add to what Chakib said. One of the requests that we need, and we suffered from rigged elections. We suffered in Algeria from rigged elections, and that's been a problem. So the Algerian citizens do not trust this government to run any elections.
That's
That's a big,
good, no.
that's a big request, and we're gonna find a solution to it.
It is
So
a big
I'm gonna tell you how I see Algeria, and very quickly. So I want to see Algeria under the rule of law, with freedom of its of opinion of its citizens. And also very important for me, I want Algeria to participate, as I said in the beginning, in this human civilization, to be back part of creating art, creating technology, medicine, helping South and North, and be part of the human civilization. We don't want to be left alone and just kind of locked out.
That's good. That's good. Now I just want to get your opinion about how do you see the final result and for the revolution?
You know, I'm always optimistic. I think at the end of the day, those who are holding power, especially the military, they're going to realize the youth, the only thing that they're asking for is to build a great Algeria, okay?
For the generations to come.
For their kids. You know, if you hear them, they tell you it's not for us, it's for our kids.
Right.
Because it's not going to be great right away. The road is going to be long, and it's going to be hard. We're going to see hardship, but the end result is going to be great. We're going to see Algeria as a leader. We're going to see Algerian happy, living united. There's no difference between somebody from the south, north, east, or west. And this Hirak actually made us stronger.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to hear you guys, and I'm sure our viewers will enjoy it too, and you deliver very important information to everyone. I want to thank you so much for coming. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. I wish we have more time. There's a lot more to cover.
Yes.
But I want to thank you so much for coming.
You for having
and
us.
accepting our invitation.
Thank you for having us.
So good to have you. I would like to end the show and remind everybody part 2 for the Algerian Hirak will be playing next weekend. Please join us again next week. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Good night.